This is an anime girl. To the average observer, this may look like just another animated character. But what if I told you that characters like this have been reaching international popularity? Whether you're from Japan or not, the odds are that you yourself have seen someone online using an anime girl as an avatar. In this video on Paxtube, we're here to find out why these characters are so well liked. Ladies and gentlemen, let's talk about anime. Specifically, the anime and manga industry produced by Japan. This art industry has become very popular around the world, especially on the internet. Unlike Western animation, which typically gears itself toward children, the anime industry targets a wide variety of age demographics. Thus, you'll find fans who are adults and teenagers alike. In recent years, Western companies have even attempted live-action adaptations of anime, with not much success, to put it lightly. But the rise of popularity of anime in the West is worthy of investigation, and it leads us to some telling conclusions. A key factor that stands out in anime's success is its female characters, who garner fan bases in and of themselves. The term waifu, a variation of the word wife, is used commonly in anime circles to refer to one's favorite female character. It's become obvious at this point that anime girls have a special charm that viewers in the West are picking up on. Firstly, appearance. Now, the most common explanation of why anime girls are popular is that they're cute. And that's very true. These characters are professionally designed to be feminine and attractive. There are entire animation methods devoted to their styles. The physical traits that are highlighted in anime include flowing hair, large and detailed eyes, and slim or curvaceous bodies. These features are highlighted because they're widely accepted as beautiful. Some might argue that beauty is subjective, but let's face it, they're ultimately physical traits that people are biologically wired to be attracted to. Those creating anime do not try to obscure this. It should also be noted that these female designs go hand in hand with clothing that accentuates their feminine features, such as ribbons, bows, or other hair accessories. Meanwhile, some character designs are more childlike, which are intended to trigger protective instincts from the viewer. You could call this the cute or comfy factor. Now, of course, anime doesn't exist in a vacuum, so to understand its ascendancy in the West, we also need to look at what's going on in Western media. In Western media, by contrast, there's been efforts to reduce character designs that even differentiate between men and women. Some have linked this to the fat acceptance and androgynous movements, but truthfully, these two movements are simply two branches of the entire source. That source is feminism, which has come to utterly dominate Western media. Hollywood and television studios consistently identify more as feminist and liberal than the general public. This is then reflected in their portrayals of women. In a great irony, feminism rejects the value of femininity and works instead as a conduit to make females masculine. The biological differences between the sexes are seen not as something to be celebrated, but as obstacles to be destroyed. These natural differences are thus downplayed, and studios put ridiculous efforts into making female characters look and behave like their male counterparts. Things weren't always this way in Western media, but they certainly are now. Meanwhile, this kind of feminist influence simply does not exist in anime studios, and that's played an enormous part in this contrast of character designs. And beyond just the issue of feminism, a solid portion of the animation that gets propped up by corporations in the West is downright hideous. So it's clear that the physical appearance of anime girls is a main factor that makes them popular in the current West. But I will submit to you that there is an even greater factor at play that goes far deeper than physical appearance. To lead into this, let's look at how Maki from the anime Love Lab responds to receiving a compliment from a boy.
君さ、ちょっと可愛いと思って人のことバカにしてんだろ。なんだよその反応、おかしいだろ。だって男の子に可愛いなんて言われたの。
Take note of the traits that are being displayed here. This leads into the point. Anime girls are liked because of their virtuous and feminine personality traits. A female character portraying bashfulness like this is common in anime, but all but extinct in Western media. Generally, these characters demonstrate attributes that make them ideal candidates for wives, including loyalty, modesty, and a positive view of marriage and children. It's a common sight in anime, especially in the slice-of-life genre, to see characters outright fantasize about marriage.
それに、こう見えても天文学の前はいいお嫁さんになるのも夢だったから。二人で
お二人の初めての共同作業です。
Characters are written this way intentionally, because not only do these virtues make them good love interests, but they're also admirable traits in and of themselves. I've noticed that chastity in particular is a value that anime likes to highlight. This applies to both male and female characters, but to avoid going off topic, I'll stick to the females. Importantly, even female protagonists that are designed in a sexualized way are written carefully to have these virtues. I may not be a fan of some of these designs because they stride the line towards sexploitation, but their behavior, as I've described, shows that they're written with nuance. As one example of this, in the anime Overlord, the character Albedo is revealed to be a virgin despite her sexualized appearance. It's a rarity to hear a character say something like this outside of anime. Now, these female characterizations draw a stark contrast to not only Western media, but Western society itself. Currently in the West, values like modesty, chastity, and romantic exclusivity are increasingly treated as unnecessary or antiquated. This is in spite of the fact that most research shows that these things are critical to developing healthy long-term relationships. A 2019 research report from the Institute of Family Studies found that traditionally minded and religious couples reported the highest level of relationship quality and sexual satisfaction. Other research has shown that women who engage in promiscuous sex are more likely to have failed marriages, more likely to become single mothers, more likely to get an abortion, and less likely to report personal happiness than women who had zero sexual partners prior to being married. It truthfully turns out that the sexual revolution and free love were an utter disaster. But in spite of this, most of Western society continues to double down on normalizing promiscuity. Fortunately though, things aren't all bad just yet, as surveys do show that people say that those with more than 2 past sexual partners are undesirable for long-term relationships. The problem is that Americans report having between 4 and 7 past sexual partners. This has created an extreme gap between the kind of person people want a long-term relationship with and the kind they can actually choose from. Furthermore, the average age people first report having sex is 17. Now add in the fact that data shows marriage has a negative correlation with number of sex partners. That is, the more sex partners a person has, the less successful their marriage is likely to be. All of these things have come together to create a relationship wasteland in the West. It's created a situation where the average person has to choose between settling for a spouse with many past sexual partners, which they don't want, or dropping the idea of marriage entirely. A horrible situation through and through. Meanwhile, rather than trying to reverse this, Western media has led the charge in exacerbating this crisis. Studio executives practically fall over themselves to put forward female characters that are sexually promiscuous and masculine. As an example, in the show Game of Thrones, nearly every single female character is written to either be involved in numerous sexual relationships or to have no interest in men whatsoever. Other shows that focus on teenage relationships are rife with premarital sex, abortion, homosexuality, and marriage being treated as a backwards institution. So with both Western media and society increasingly abandoning both feminine and monogamous traits, anime has done the opposite. It's now effectively one of the last reliable places young men can look to find idealized female portrayals who would make good wives. Thus, it shouldn't be surprising at all that it's garnered a large male audience. Now, a lot of anime fans may recognize this fact implicitly, but not actually be cognizant of it. There are, after all, many anime fans who are degenerate, and I think part of the reason these people exist is because they were never able to recognize what makes anime girls unique in the first place. And while I'm sure someone can find exceptions to what I've said in this video, they are just that, exceptions. To draw things to conclusion, the anime industry produces some beautiful works that we, as Westerners, can learn from. None of this is to say that anime is perfect or that Japan is a perfect country. All things have their flaws. But what's clear here is that anime's female portrayals show feminine nature in a positive light that feminist media never can or will. In essence, it exposes the current cultural crisis in the West in both media and public attitudes. When a huge portion of your male population has to look to a foreign medium to find virtuous female portrayals, that's a serious problem. I ultimately hope this video helps people see the value of virtue and the void that's left when people turn their back on it. Now there may be some things I forgot to mention, so feel free to leave your views in the comments. And if you enjoyed the video, please consider subscribing and clicking the notification bell, as it really helps me to make more. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you in the next video.